This delightful trio are my 3 Grail watches. Well, 2.5 to be more precise, and I'll explain exactly what I mean by that shortly. A journey that's taken most of my life. So today, I want to share with you their story.
Breguet, darling. It's me to a T. Get it? Moi? T-Rex? Ha 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 ha.
Okay, hi guys, and welcome to the show. So I think it's fairly obvious that I'm entering into the third and final act of my collecting journey and story, so to speak, if we're going to use that analogy of acts, right? Oh, and I should do a wristwatch check. Wearing the Longines Johnny Walker. I've decided to call this the Johnny Walker because of that slanted keeper on the strap, which has this amazing inlaid leather to match the strap with real gold. I've never seen anything like it. So the Johnny Walker. I purchased the Breguet tradition from new to celebrate the 10-year anniversary of the Urban Gentry channel in 2024. Because of that, and a whole lot more that I'm about to share with you, it's the conversation piece in my collection. It's also a deeply significant symbol of how far I've come myself, encapsulating everything I value in true high-end watchmaking, beyond the overhyped and predictable go-to cliches of the unholy trinity. It still proudly displays connoisseurship without the obnoxious flexing connotations. Its neoclassical, like Baroque palazzo style will age just as well as the buildings. You know what they say. If it's not Baroque, don't try and fix it. Yet simultaneously totally modern and bold in scale. Any smaller, and I simply would not be able to read it without glasses. It's instantly recognizable, but only to those truly in the know. And the rest of the time, it just looks incredibly cool and intriguing, without needing to scream for attention. Kind of like the natural nonchalance of a Steve McQueen in his prime, or the composed stoicism of a Toshiro Mifune samurai character. And truthfully, I can't help thinking of that very clever marketing slogan for women's makeup. Maybe she's born with it. Well, she is certainly the perfect Breguet. And being individually numbered, like every Breguet, completely unique. But even without the numbering, it bears, somewhere secretly, the signature of the master craftsman who worked tirelessly for God knows how long, months perhaps, maybe even more, in order to bring this symphony of individually hand-decorated 224 components to life. This is something very uncommon today, unlike the days of my grandfather's Charles Frodsham, which kicked off my love affair for horology. And this also explains why it costs what it costs. And speaking of Frodsham, I wanted the manual wind version specifically. It's a touch thinner than the automatics, but more importantly, I wanted to experience that ritual of winding it daily, and caspita, how pleasing it is to do so. There just isn't enough mellifluous praise to describe it. It's pretty much the most expensive and classy Tamagotchi I will ever own. So as I discussed in my unboxing video, I did a deep dive on, in my opinion, the greatest haute horology watchmaker. I'm sorry VC, AP, PP, deal with it. They say JLC is the watchmaker's watchmaker, but if that's the case, that kind of makes Breguet watchmaker's watchmaker. Doesn't have the same ring to it, does it? Oh well. But you see what I'm saying here.
Perfect.
Breguet's remarkable talent and skill was not only in his engineering, but as we see in the original subscription pocket watches of the 1790s that inspired the Tradition collection, he took it a step further, creating aesthetically pleasing layouts to the mechanics as well. The sense of motion and abstract symmetry actually reminds me of Italian futurism, as if it's a moving painting of Marinetti or Fortunato di Pero. Normally it's function dictating form, whereas here, Breguet's mastery was so good, it enabled him to give both equal importance, thus creating a visual harmony unseen in classical watchmaking for the time. It's only today, centuries later, with the advances in miniaturized watchmaking, that this kind of stuff is more commonplace. Out of the three Grails, this is the only one that hasn't got the Henry Ford approach to watchmaking. There's nothing wrong with that, you know, an assembly line. It's a bit of a derogatory term, especially when it comes to watches, but the other two certainly have more of that approach. Whereas this is a group of highly skilled, very select few artisans. Breguet make a shockingly small amount of pieces. How many exactly is highly speculated, but considering the most educated guesses, it's still remarkably low. Mainly because they just physically can't make that many, due to the intricate traditional techniques used and the time needed to finish each individual component. So when they are ready, they are snapped up by ardent fans like horological hotcakes. They don't need to create artificial scarcity like, some supercilious brands out there. And I like to think of it a bit like when my nonna used to cook sugo di carne. That's meat sauce for my non-Italian gentry out there. It takes at least 4 hours to slow cook until the whole house smells like heaven on earth. And anything else is just store-bought, mass-produced trash by comparison. Damn it, I'm now really getting hungry. Where was I going with this food metaphor? Oh yeah, so to do it right, it takes time. I'm incredibly proud of everything that I've achieved with the Urban Gentry. My only slight, not regret, but issue with the naming is obviously landed Gentry. That part of it came from that, and I don't want people to ever get the misconception that, I'm a trust fund baby. I can't believe I'm gonna quote Nixon, but I've earned every penny I've got. You know, I'm no Nepo baby, there's no trust fund, there's no helping hand here. I've really put in that time and effort, blood, sweat and tears, and every time I look at this watch, I'm reminded of that. That's important, you know, you need these reminders. Like I said in my last video, watches are a wonderful motivator. Reaching that goal, reaching that moment, that anniversary or that achievement, it's so powerful. And I'm reminded every time I look at it of this. What I did inherit from GHW, my grandfather, is the Charles Frodsham, a love of art, culture, and my mother's sense of right and wrong. I make my moves in silence, and I'm forever loyal to those who are loyal to me. And I'm all about giving and receiving respect. So I'm very much old school in many ways. I limit my watch collaborations to only once or twice a year, not because I have to, but because I want to keep each project meaningful, heartfelt, and not another cash grab after cash grab like so many do out there. I believe this protects it and keeps it more genuine. The point I'm trying to make here is that this watch is a reminder of what can be achieved by doing honest, hard, and consistent, meaningful work.
At least your mother tipped well.
Are you obsessed with watches? Do you like to travel and need to take a few timepieces on your adventures? Maybe you're fed up with cheap imitation leather that falls apart, embarrassing you in front of your watch enthusiast friends. Well, you don't have to look like a cretinous fool any longer, because here at Gentry Labs, we've teamed up with Germany's finest watch strap maker to bring you the perfect watch case. By offering our expertly handmade products straight from the factory to your pocket, we cut out the middleman, therefore undermining capitalism itself. Just like a classic vintage watch, it will patina, adding character the more you use it. This is due to the sumptuously premium calf leather from the Perlinger Tannery. Yes, stroke it real good, and you will see exactly what I mean. Expertly stitched, To last lifetimes, this handcrafted case is compact enough for your pocket, but still large enough to protect 2 watches. We even added an external pocket for extra tools or straps. The metal reinforced latch system is secure and designed in a way not to open accidentally when you take it out of your pocket. Because the last thing you want is that expensive Grail watch that almost caused you a divorce falling out and hitting the floor. Each watch is then tested for robustness by our very own Shakespearean-trained celebrity star of everyone's favorite dinosaur franchise. Yes, that's right, even the terrible sequels. If it can survive those teeth, it can handle anything. The luxurious Alcantara interior is soft, supple and ideal for protecting delicate surfaces. The padded inner section can be used to wrap a watch around too, so the bracelet does not scratch itself when stored. Luxury quality but affordably priced, and free of any tacky designer branding that makes you look like you are desperately lacking your own identity. A classically elegant traditional style that reeks of old money. The perfect upgrade or gift for any EDC. And remember, if it's not by Gentry Labs, it sucks. So don't suck. Buy it now.
I'm Hugo Mountbatten, and I approve of this message. Well, as long as the check clears.
Looking for shells?
No, I'm just looking.
Next is my Rolex Submariner, no date, the complete antithesis of the tradition, the Swissness being the only commonality. But unlike the Breguet that shows its assets off as if it's a Richard Rogers designed building inside out, the Subby is disguised by an unassuming tooltastic ubiquity, even if it is the most iconic watch of all time. And I love it for this paradoxical dichotomy.
Sometimes reality is the strangest fantasy of all. Blow up.
Not to mention, it was the original sprezzatura watch. Remember Michelangelo Antonioni's Capolavoro, Blow Up. And talking of cinema, if you dig a little deeper than Moneypenny bothered to,
Rolex.
Amiga.
Beautiful.
and look beyond the Bondian surface narrative, this is an ultra-rare transitional model, which features modern superluminova but still retains the cleaner 2 lines of text on the dial like older 14060s. Then, to make this a true unicorn piece, there's a once-in-a-lifetime engraving on the caseback. It's a final parting gift from my mother, who passed away in 2025 from cancer. A fellow watch enthusiast, she was my own personal influencer. We looked at hundreds of options and landed on the trusty old Subby, and how I miss those conversations in Italian discussing 2-liners versus 4, Tudor versus Rolex subs, 5513 versus 5512, and so on. Yes, my dear Gentry, she was a real one. I started my channel with the ceramic modern date sub over a decade ago, and as my tastes evolved elsewhere, we finally arrived at this perfectly fitting closing of a circle and the ultimate balance between vintage looks but modern robustness. She also wanted something I could wear every day, and what beats the top dagger watch of all time. She was a Sean Connery and Roger Moore fan when it came to 007, so what did you expect? A timepiece that reflects perfectly my mother's own quiet strength, courage, and undeniable British classiness as she stared death in the face one last time. As I write these words with tears in my eyes, it's January 28th, her birthday, and the first one without her. The highly emotional unboxing video that I shared in October was the last episode that she watched from her hospice bed. She passed away a few days later. So last but by no means least is the Red Lion Mark II by Hanhart, 417, or my spin on it. Now, at the beginning of the video, I said this was technically my 2.5 Grails because this is actually the second generation. The Mark I was my very first Grail watch, an incredibly special collaboration. However, this is a continuation, that's why 2.5, but in many ways, it's even more special to me because, well, let me explain. The first Red Lion was named to honour both my mother's family heraldry that had become the channel's guardian of time and emblematic of my core values, while the red, obviously a nod to the important branding colours of Hanhart. More symbolically, however, I also wanted it to represent a sense of unity and peace between us, myself coming from a family with a very long and prestigious military lineage. The initial Red Lion made history by being the first 39mm steel 417 since the 1950s original, and also brought back the iconic red pusher to that size. Two things that have now become adopted into the entire Hanhart line as standard practice, and I'm very proud to say that. The Red Lion 2 makes history yet again, this time being the first Type 20 inspired design this legendary German brand has produced in over 70 years. Unlike the many other watches that I have designed, including the Preventer HD12 I should mention, this second Red Lion was something a little bit more personal. Like when movie studios reward the director for making several blockbuster hits, this was my blank check movie. So it's as close to everything I could ever ask for in a chrono. The Mark I was about recreating a past icon, so I couldn't go crazy. Whereas this is like a ballsy sequel. Kinda like what Gremlins 2, the new batch, is to its predecessor.
Now, go back.
Well, it's rather brutal here. We're advising our clients to put everything they've got into canned food and shotguns.
In fact, actually, I think Gremlins 2 is way superior to the original. So yeah, as the kids say, you can come at me in the comments if you want to. Sure, they're obviously related, but like the second movie, I needed it to do more as well, not just to differentiate it, but because I actually need it to be capable too. As a user of tool watches every day, I desired a dual time zone to track family or business interests overseas, a column wheel flyback movement for improved performance, and I also required a big eye sub-dial for the minutes. Annoyingly, my eyes could no longer read the Mark I too easily. Yeah, I know, getting old sucks. And to keep up with my active lifestyle, shock protection and 100 meters water resistance was an absolute must, especially for cardio in wet conditions. More profoundly, the aspect I'm most proud of is who this collab is with. The heritage brand that literally wrote the book and pioneered the military pilot chronograph as we know it today. Ever wondered what inspired Helmut Zinn's early watch design language? Most famously, of course, is our beloved Breguet, and what would inspire the French military to base their mil-spec on in the 1950s, aka the Type 20. The Cairelli Zenith Tipo CP2 of the 1960s, or just about every Marshall pilot chronograph for that matter since. Well, Hanhart defined all the design traits back in the 1930s and never really got the credit they deserve. Every time I read the highly efficient syringe hands, or gaze upon that iconic balanced numeral layout to the dial, or use the bi-directional ratcheted bezel, I'm reminded of how honoured I am to be a part of this legacy. In my opinion, they still are the most underrated, quality-made, hype-free brand, with some of the loveliest people behind it who really care about their work. Now, I didn't include this in my State of the Collection because, well, as I stated in that video, I don't allow or don't include watches I've co-designed or designed. However, this is a kind of middle ground, so to speak, because it was a Grail watch, but also it's a watch that I've been very fortunate enough to have some input with. I genuinely feel that Hanhart are on the cusp of big time success, because when you think about the most iconic chronographs of all time, you think Speedmaster, Navitimer, Monaco, Daytona, the list goes on, right? But the 417, doesn't matter if it's my configuration or the standard version, predates them all, and it's had a greater impact, a greater influence on the design language of chronographs, especially in a military context, than any other chronograph. So it's only a matter of time. I think the stars will align, and I think they won't be the most underrated for long. They deserve the limelight, so to speak. This trio in tandem is, inadvertently, a perfect all corners covered collection within itself. Was it fated? I like to think so. The anniversary refinement piece for formal, a sentimental daily diver memento mori reminder, and the ultimate bespoke beta instrument. I'm not yet prepared to spend the rest of my life with just 3 watches. Maybe one day, sitting in a tranquil garden somewhere in Italy, far, far away from all the madness. Hopefully like a less jaded Nately's old man. I will miss my Seikos, Squale, Panerai, Casios, and so on. So realistically, I could see myself with about 5 to 7, but no more than 12, to hopefully keep my horologically licentious brain from getting back on that hamster wheel. My hero, Marcus Aurelius, constantly teaches to think of oneself as dead in order to make the most of the present moment. He said, "You have lived your life. Now take what's left and live it properly." End quote. Everyone from Seneca to Cicero, Emerson to 50 Cent all have similar advice when it comes to practicing the act of gratitude in order to advance with more temerity. With all this in mind, I'm therefore incredibly grateful. And if you're watching this right now and have the luxury to think about watches and collect, no matter what it is, you are one of the fortunate too. So there we have it, guys. Maybe I should just sell everything and keep the 3 and just be done with watches. Just do movie reviews, deep dive analysis of favorite movies. Yeah, I think so. Anyway, don't forget to share your Grails and your top 3 in the comments. I love hearing that. It's probably the most rewarding part of this. Oh, and don't forget to like this video. Very important indeed, especially if you want to support more free and truly non-watch dealer independent content. It's the best way to support the channel. I will catch you in the next one. Onwards and upwards. Thank you for watching. Ciao.
5 minutes later.
Okay, another video done. What's this? Ooh, new release. G-Shock. That's very sexy. Wow, really affordable. I mean, if I added a G-Shock to this trio, it's not so bad, right? Amore, have you seen my wallet?